He is an artist, he's an author, he's a holistic doctor, he's an acupuncturist, he's an all-around great guy, he's a healer. He's got a national public radio show every Friday night at 7 p.m. where he interviews really cool people, so if you have a chance, log in and he'll tell you how to find that. He also hosts a summit in the Norton in February where he's got a panel of doctors and speakers, and it's on relationships this year, so you can learn about that too. So here's Dr. Graham.
Good morning. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to join and come listen and share. So, we're talking about, I know what was advertised, and it was really important, neurological disorders, social, disorders in a way, as well as, those things that we hear about when they classify kids these days, ADD, ADHD, tics, and all this sort of stuff. I thought, what is this really? When parents come to me with their children, or even teenagers come to me, they're asking questions which have, based on answerless answers. And I thought about that, answerless answers, and what that means. Answerless answers. Well, when you say something like, my child is on the spectrum, what is that? How many people can really answer that? My child has ADHD. What is it? You say, oh, it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay, fine, great, thank you. What is it? So, this is sort of a talk a little bit about those answerless answers, right? Because we have these questions and they're not being answered by the people that are supposed to have the answers. What do? They answer it with a drug. Here, take this. Okay, a year later, now your child has another syndrome on top of that one, on top of that one, on top of that one. Why? Well, it's possible a side effect, but we don't know for sure. And take this drug now. And next thing you know, you have a 20-year-old with 30 drugs. I don't know if that's really the way we should be thinking about healthcare, because is that really health? Is that really healthy? So, a lot of these things that we're talking about today in this small space of time we have will really be about engaging you into a new way of thinking, of asking questions for yourselves and for your family. If I do that today, then I'll have done my job. Sure, I'll give you some answers, but my main thing is to change the perspective and to create a ripple effect that we can start as a community of parents, of families, Americans, global, whatever you want to call it, of starting to perceive health and ask different questions and demand real answers. Because when people come to me and they're paying their hard-earned money to find answers to get healing, I have to provide. I have to produce results. When you go to your average general practitioner or pediatrician, you're fine with not getting results because insurance is paying for it, because you're paying a copay, because whatever, and that's going up. Insurance copays are going up, everything is going up, so it doesn't even matter anymore. You're still paying out of pocket when you look at it. And so you should be demanding answers across the board and demanding results across the board. If they're not going to give it to you, then you need to find someone who will. Period. End of discussion. And maybe that's you. Maybe it's you doing the research, and maybe it's you learning how to search for things. One of the things I wanted to recommend is when you search for things on the internet, there's a lot of clutter. Maybe use the term, so ADHD from a holistic perspective, ADHD from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. So I'll write down the term TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. That usually takes you into that world of holistic thinking. So even though it says Chinese, disregard that part. It really is just a combination of Eastern philosophies and ways of thinking, which include Ayurvedic and so forth, when you do that search, because it's just a huge culture. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine. We're still using Oriental in the term. It doesn't really make sense, but it's just because things take time to catch up when you classify and license and da-da-da-da-da. Now, so we touched base on that. So let's talk about some of those terms that we so greatly fear and want answers for. Is there a difference between ADD and ADHD? Let's start there. Not really. They added the H because of hyperactivity. So it's like my child won't pay attention, but they're sitting there, my child will pay attention, but they can't sit. That's the difference. They have to run around. So when did this start? It seemed like it's probably always been there. We just maybe had a lot more playtime. I remember when I was younger, we used to run around before school, middle of school, after school. The idea was we had to run around. Because we by nature, and my 16, now 17-year-old daughter, she just turned 17, she was answering her 15-year-old brother about her 9-year-old brother, because her 15-year-old brother said, do you think Koa, which is my 9-year-old, said, do you think Koa has ADHD? Because he can't. Sometimes he has so much energy. She goes, there's no such thing. We by nature are hunter-gatherers. That was my 16-year-old. She said, we by nature are hunter-gatherers. We are meant to, at this stage, when we start feeling ourselves and being aware, we want to explore. This is how we evolved as human beings. We need to be interacting with nature. There's a lot of science to that. In nature, we have something called terpenes. Now, terpenes are what the plants and trees, they emanate these things. And they balance the human system. So there's something that the Japanese call forest bathing. And I've taught on that, I've interviewed on that on my radio show, and I've talked about
What was it,
hospital.
forest what? Bathing.
Forest bathing.
Bathing.
It's an actual term and treatment and process by which the human being enters the forest in order to get balanced, utilizing the terpenes being emanated by plants, trees, and so forth. Now, terpenes are something we use, and that's where some of you are aware of it through the practice of what? Essential oils. So they're just immersing themselves in it because they're not just wanting those essential oils and those terpenes, but they're wanting the peace, the sound. So they're listening. So bathing is immersing, right? So you're getting the sound, smell, the feel, whether it's cool or hot or moist, right? You're interacting, and that balances you. And at the end of the day, the human health system is based on balance. So when we're out of balance, we have something called disease. But what is disease? Dis-ease. We are no longer at ease. We are no longer at balance. So how do we bring our children who are classified with ADD, ADHD into balance? We check systems. What are they having too much of? What are they having too little of? So there's things that I look at when a parent comes to me, and I'll just run through that. First thing is simple, diet. Are they getting too much processed foods, too many sugars? Simple. Usually you start there, you can start calming their system down. However, it's not just negating. How do we replace? So we replace with training them into natural sugars, God-made versus man-made. That's always a good thing, rule of thumb. So fruits and things like that, even, the way they snack, seaweed, kale chips, introducing things. Now the first time, even the second time, and maybe even the third time, they may say, I don't like it and I don't want it. But it's your job to keep introducing those things into them and making the other stuff less available. I have so many parents who say, well, Dr. Ken, easy for you to say, but my kid only eats, I don't know, Doritos and chicken fingers and, French fries, pizza. I'm like, where are they getting this? Like, do they have a job? Do they drive? But I want them to eat. I get it. But you're molding. These are, you're molding them. It takes time. You don't just sit in front of clay and go, poof, there it is. It takes time to learn, and it takes time to instill, and it takes time to simply add those curves, those things that's going to shape something beautiful. So it starts with that first interaction. And as you implement those little foods, little things, and you give them treats, you do give them once in a while the Doritos, you do give them the pizza. They're there, they're not going away. They're your son, they're your daughter, they love you, baby, but these are your celebration foods. This is how we have to build you, because if we don't build you this way, you're going to be sick, You're gonna miss this, you're not gonna do that, you're gonna have this, you're gonna look ugly, you're gonna be fat, whatever these things, because these are real cause and effects. And kids love cause and effect. They understand cause and effect as it pertains to them. You give them cause and effect, they will listen. If you just tell them, don't do or do, then you're gonna have a problem, you're gonna get challenged. So part of it is learning yourself how these cause and effects work. So we said sugars, processed foods. Processed foods is key because what you're doing with processed foods, and that's canned, bagged, all those sort of things. And when you look at the ingredients, there's more things that you can't pronounce or understand than you can. Those usually are toxins that the body can't recognize. They're meant to appease the palate, but they're not something that the body can recognize and make sense of. So they get stored. And that's why you have teenagers with cellulite, because toxins get stored in fat cells, in fat areas, and that's where cellulite comes from. Instead of smooth, curvy fat, you get ripples of weirdness, because that's how the body stores toxins. It doesn't know where else to do it. It's going to store it in your organs, tissue as well. It's going to store it in certain muscle tissue, which is where you get areas of, that hurts there. I'm not supposed to hurt there. I didn't work out with that muscle. Why do I hurt here? Why do I hurt here? Toxins get stored in muscle and fat and so forth and so on. So you have to explain to them that processed foods become toxic in the body and will make sickness, will make disease. It will make it harder for you to concentrate. It will make it harder for you to sleep. It will make it harder for you to run, to act, to be normal, to feel good, to have energy. Because now you have those toxins that your body has to deal with on a consistent basis. So that's what you have to check, the process versus the sugars. The sugars become toxic as well. And too much of it too early in life will create, type 2 diabetes. So that's a whole other discussion we can have. I can just have a whole talk on type 1 and type 2 diabetes and cures and homemade remedies and how we can get to that another time. But that's what we're looking at. So what do we add? What do we add to help with that diagnosis of ADD, ADHD, and even tics and Tourette's? Because they're in almost the same. The tics and Tourette's are coming, they say it's genetic, it's this and that. But I treat it a lot the same way. I do interact with the nervous system and acupuncture a little bit more too, with that, calming that down, restructuring. And sometimes there's an anatomical or structural issue that needs to be dealt with. And those come with childbirth, a child falling down the stairs or on their head when they were young, creating a blockage at the base of their skull, occipital region, let's say, or in their upper spine. Sometimes there's blockages that need to be dealt with. So I implement acupuncture. I send them to a particular type of chiropractor. They'll realign them and get the nervous system flowing again, and all those. And usually the tics and Tourette's go. But part of it's diet too. So what I usually recommend that you have to add, so we talked about things to negate, processed food sugars. Well, let's talk about what we have to add. Main things for the nervous system, remember this, you may want to write it down, omegas, building blocks. Omega 3, 6, 9. There's omega 7 found in sea buckthorn. Sea buckthorn is what I recommend for people that don't like the fishy taste of omegas. They don't want fish oil. They don't want cod liver oil. They don't want anything like that. They want something that has those constituents, but they don't want the fishy taste. Sea buckthorn, it's a sea vegetable, it's a sea berry, or seaweed. Wonderful. Heals the liver, repairs nervous system, helps with stress, helps with hormone balance, good for the skin, good for the hair. But omegas, which you have to take when you're pregnant, as well as children have to take them, and you should have them in their formula if you're feeling formula, and they should be taking them as soon as they can take chewables. They will help settle their nervous system. They will help with the brain development, the eye development. They will help them to concentrate. They are an essential part, essential fatty acids, an essential part of the nervous system building. So as they're growing, creating more nerve pathways, more brain pathways, stress on the system, learning, developing. That's a lot. If you don't give them that, where are they going to get it? So omegas, remember that. That is one of the main things. The system will overheat without omegas. So I even prescribe it for the autistic children. Because they overheat quicker because they're processing differently. They're processing at higher levels. They don't look like it to you because they're not processing the way you process. But autistic children are processing at a higher level, so they overheat faster, so they need more omegas. So that's why they're constantly rocking or moving. They're trying to work it out. Their systems are trying to process and work it out. They're overheating, they get hot, and then they play with things, and they're always fiddling, and they're trying to, desensitize or sensitize, and they don't even know. You give them the omegas, you see their systems calm down. Big deal. So that's one of the main things I want you to remember. Next, what are they building when they're getting older? They're building bone. They go through growth spurts, bone and muscle. They need their calcium, they need their vitamin D, and they need their vitamin K. So in the natural sense, and here's the problem now, easy to say, but not so easy if your child is lactose intolerant, which so many children are now. So where do they get their vitamin D, vitamin K, calcium? So much bad press about the sun. Do they go out in the sun? They're not going to the sun. How do they protect themselves? There's all these questions. However, you can do supplements. You want to make sure the K is in there, and you probably haven't heard that yet. You haven't heard someone put the three together. You always hear calcium, and then lately you've been hearing calcium and D, but you need the K. You need the K because it's the K. If you look at cows, if you look at any grass-eating, green-eating animals that are huge, big bone, lots of muscle, basically the things that we eat, they eat green. And the green needs the sun, needs the hormone of D, right? It needs the K is in there. That's what's in green. When we eat that K helps the calcium go into the bone and not stay in the muscle. So for years when they were recommending the calcium to women, they would do autopsies, and there would be so much calcium lodged in soft tissue and muscle, and they still had osteoporosis, weak bones, fractures, da. So they were just overloading these women with mineral, heavy mineral, without the rest of the centers, without the rest of the constituents, without the rest of the helpers that tell the body where to put this. K is part of that language, yes.
What about magnesium? You hear calcium and magnesium a lot together?
Yeah, magnesium is another good source, but magnesium now has become another household name because we have so many digestive issues and so much cramping. Really because we're not getting and transporting nutrients to muscle. And our digestive systems have shut down because of things we've eaten or not eaten. So magnesium helps us go, and it helps with cramping and stuff. So the two work together very well. They settle the heart, they work good. So nothing wrong with it, but what I'm saying is if you're concerned with bone health, growth spurts, you want the K.
But don't you need I thought you had to have calcium, magnesium, K1, K2, manganese, boron. Don't you have to have all of it?
That's ideal, and usually when you make sure you have the K, they have all those other things. But not all of the supplements do, and that's a great question because you do have to look at a whole foods-based bone supplement will have all those things. And mostly they'll be made from bone meal. Really.
But you do have to have the magnesium, right?
It's ideal.
Okay.
It's ideal. But you want to make sure the K is in there.
What does K stand for?
Like I didn't know what vitamin A stands for. It's just, it is side these letters. I just know K is the stuff that is for clotting factors and refined integrate. Right, so that's how I associate it with. Because that makes sense to me. Holistic.
I don't want to get off track and you can stop me and you can answer this later, but the companies that make these vitamins, obviously there's a big difference. And can you direct us to the best companies, like would it be Life Extension or what brands? Because I know there's some bad ones out there.
Okay, so, good question. I can't direct you to the best ones. I can direct you to the I've used for many years and had great results with it. Is that gonna be okay?
Yeah.
I've used for prenatals, for kids, for many years I've used Rainbow Light. Whole Foods Space Vitamins, love them. They make gummies that my kids, when they were 14s, they make packets of the Power Sours. They make the Omega-licious. They make the Probio-licious. Rainbow Light, they have all these things. And so my kids, they get up when they're little, they go get the packets, the containers on the counter. They know that that's what they get in the morning. They get their warm cereal, their oatmeal or grits or whatever, and that's their start. So they're warm, so all types. When they don't get it for a while, you can tell. Because that's my house, and I have a split family, so I go to mom. When they come to my house, they get it, they're different people. When they come back, their hair's frazzled, their eyes are dark underneath, they're like burnt out. Then they get it Friday, then Saturday, or on vacation, whatever. It's interesting. So, Rainbow Light. I like also Garden of Light. They've been around. They started here locally, South Florida. They do a lot of Whole Foods Space work. They're pretty good. For adults, I recommend Pure Essence. Formulator from Rainbow Light have left and went to Pure Essence. Pure Essence I've used. Mega Foods, Whole Foods based. I use their adrenal complexes, their thyroid complexes. And we'll get into the adrenals too, because that's huge. So your adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. So imagine the body, so that's a few, right? That's okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, thank you.
And for the sea buckthorn, I like Sea Buck Wonders. Sea buckthorn. So if you don't want fish oils, you can do Sea Buck Wonders, and they make a nice capsule, small capsule of the sea buckthorn oil, which has omega 3, 6, 7, and 9. Again, I don't know what the 7 does, but they have it. So imagine the body is this beautiful, not to imagine, but a biochemical machine meant to carry our dreams and aspirations and soul, eternity within us through life. So this is a vehicle created for us, and it's meant to interact with this wonderful planet. It's got to have a powerhouse. Powerhouse, kidneys, 2 of them. On top of any powerhouse, what you have to have is backup. That's your adrenals. Okay? Now, we live in a generation and a time, and it has gone on for some time, and now our kids even have subscribed to this, that caffeine equals energy. You've got every super athlete advertising when they win something, a can of some kind of caffeine-riddled drink. You've got Red Bull gives you wings, you've got all these things. And of course, parents wake up, the first thing they go for is caffeine. So it's in them to believe that caffeine is energy, whereas it's not. Caffeine stimulates your backup, which is your adrenals, to secrete adrenaline. So you're actually engaging your fight or flight without the fight or flight emergency need every day. It's almost like hitting turbo boost every day in your car without bracing. You're just hitting that, turbo or whatever where they hit the switch and it gives it special oxygenates everything, and like Fast and Furious. So do we want to do that? Because if we do that, are we depleting our powerhouse and our backup? And what does that equal? Premature aging, fatigue, premature fatigue, constant fatigue, nervousness, insomnia, anxiety, heart palpitations. Yeah. What do we do? Oh, you have heart palpitations, my kid has anxiety, they're not sleeping. Take them to the doctor, what does the doctor do? Here's another drug. So we have to monitor that. And then you combine the caffeine, which is depleting these adrenals, with sugar, which sends your insulin levels up, then you tank. Yeah, they're falling asleep on their desk at noon and can't pay attention. And they're taking more caffeine for tests. So yeah, halfway through the test, heart palpitations, anxiety, because their fortification is gone. The ability to think clear also comes from the kidneys in your adrenals. That's your powerhouse. So learning how to utilize energy. Now, is coffee bad? No. Is caffeine bad? No. It's our abuse of it, just like anything else that can be bad. I don't personally drink coffee, my wife does. But I don't want her to, we had this talk, I says, honey, I get it, you love, that's your time, so let's do this. I bought her the best cappuccino maker, I buy her Lavazza crema, and I research, it's like, this is the best, this is what I'd rather you do really good, less, than not good, more. So quality over quantity. So what if we were to do this ourselves and then teach our kids that? Celebration time, celebration foods, good time. It's all good, used appropriately. But on a day-to-day, how do we build energy? So the kids that come to me with these, going back to these things that you can't hear about, ADD, ADHD, tics, insomnia, fatigue, chronic fatigue, all these things, what if we change the way that they view what they're taking in, how to utilize food better? Allergies, all these things that you see together. You usually see 2 or 3 together. Sinus issues, allergies, ADHD, ADD. Fatigue, you know what I mean, right? Fatigue, digestive issues, ADHD, autism. There's always combinations. They're always on several medications. Why is that? Are they separate? No, they're together. They're the same thing. Same root, gut, brain, adrenals. So now you're giving them, say you're doing this, say you're doing less sugar, less processed foods, omegas, multivitamins, calcium, magnesium, K, D, all that sort of stuff. And they're playing more outside, or they're not. Let's talk about lifestyle. So you're doing all that stuff, but they're still sitting in front of the computer, they're staring at their phone, their iPad. They're not doing sports, they're not doing social interaction. Tommy doesn't like the sports because the coach yells at him. Is that bad? It depends. It does depend. However, it's not always that bad to get a little yelling at once in a while. Get a little structure, get a little teamwork. Hear differences of interaction and persevere despite. That's called strength. That's called development. That's why some kids end up in military school, because they didn't get the stuff early their parents were supposed to. They didn't interact with the sports, and now they're teenagers, they're rebellious, not listening, they have no structure, no ability to interact socially. And if you're lucky, you can get them to go to military school, and some parents don't even get that, and unfortunately they're in their 20s and they're in jail or something. And we know the stories. There's way too much temptation out there for us not to start these things early with our kids. There's way more drugs, way more nonsense. So, yeah, you're going to sports. Yeah, you're going into finance program. Yeah, you're going into this magnet program. Yeah, and you can do anything else you want, but this is what you're going to do. Because these are your talents, it's my job to foster them. And you can hate me if you don't, you want. But I'm not here to necessarily always be your friend. And I've had those arguments. And I'll tell you, every single one of them come back and say, you're right. Thanks, Dad. I didn't get it at the time, but I get it now. And then you cry and you're like, you know? Because those are wins as parents. Those are super wins. That makes life successful. It doesn't matter what you do at work. It doesn't matter how many people you heal or how much money you make or how many businesses you sell or whatever. When you win there, that's when you win. So lifestyle changes. How do those interact? exercise, yoga, all those things, are they things that we should do? Are those things that we should recommend? At what age? Start them off early. You know? So you do the supplements, you negate the bad stuff. How do you get them to, how do you zero in on their talents and their interests and then modify them enough that they can get off of the iPad, the iPod, away from the video games? So maybe you don't take it away, but maybe you just make time for everything, and then you interact and do the things with them. I do a lot of things I didn't do growing up. Now, more as an adult, I had to learn how to drive a boat. I had to learn how to, you know, I didn't grow up swimming, but I had to learn how to swim. I had to learn how to surf. I had to do a lot of things in my 30s. My kids started to really grow up that I didn't do as a kid. And face my fears and face my shortcomings to do them with them. Do the forest bathing, do the yoga, because when you do it, it makes not only give you time that you can never get back, but it teaches them that this is the norm. So for instance, I have a 11-year-old, she's turned 12. Let's talk about that. So she's kind of the middle. So I've got older, 19, 17 now, 15, and 12, and 9. So she's always been sort of a middle kind of fight for her, right? Fight for her space. And very bossy. I always say if I had an empire, I would leave it to her to manage. She's gonna make sure, like, she's bossy. She's gonna get her way, she's gonna happen, this and that. Fine. But she started to get in with certain friends. They're doing a lot of because she doesn't interact with her age group of siblings as well, so she's having a lot of virtual time with friends. And so to a point I respect that, but then I realized, you know what, she's getting to that age where this is no longer healthy. And it's too much now. So I said, honey, I took her aside and we spent some quality time together. And I always try to do daddy-daughter dates, daddy-son dates. You gotta have to do that, you know, give them their time when you have a big family. So I said, what are your interests? What do you like to read? I don't like to read. Okay, let me rephrase that question. What do you like, what entertains you? What do you like to watch? Oh, comedies and murder mysteries. Okay, so you're at the age now where we have to work on your imagination. Because for your ability to be successful in this world, you're gonna have a good imagination. And what you're doing now is stealing your imagination. It's stealing your energy. And when I look at you, your light is not as bright as it used to be. What are you talking about, Daddy? Well, let's do this. You like murder mysteries and comedy. Let's get online and we're gonna search for books that appeal to you, and you get to pick 3. You're gonna read them, we're gonna do reports, and we're gonna see if you like them. Because reading is not just about reading, it's about imagining, and maybe you're gonna like certain books and subjects rather than others. So she ordered 2 mysteries, not murder mysteries, and a comedy book. And she's like, Dad, thank you so much. And I think receiving them as gifts and then starting to read them and seeing that she liked them, she's spending less time on the phone, interacting with friends, more time reading. Because now she's got a goal. It's to finish it, do a report, and she wants approval, she wants interaction with her dad, so forth and so on. So these are kind of, you know, instead we give tools, so we give things you can take, but this is also things you can do. Start making sense? Okay. So we touched on the growth spurts, and those are things you want to watch. Usually around growth spurts, you do want to make sure the supplements are there, and you also want to make sure foods are there. Now, foods for growth spurts are going to be things that are easier to process. So I usually recommend more warm soups and stews. Why? Because think like a baby. When babies are babies, we don't feed them steak and potatoes and heavy things because they can't process it. They're working on other things. They're working on development of organs and their gut systems and all of that. So it's going to be important for us to view that time as not necessarily that they have to eat all soft stuff or soups and stews, but it's going to make it easier for them to draw nutrients. Their net worth of what they get is gonna be better when there's more soups and stews involved. Crock pots work, so you can, for your working moms or working families. You can set it up in the day, you can put some legumes in there, which are high in iron, muscle building material, fiber, you know, healthy whole grains and whatever. You can use barley and all sorts of things. Then you can put some meat in there if you do meat. And it'll be done by the time you come home. And they can always put some of that. You can bake a cornbread or you can bake something. And, you know, so there's always those options. And you don't have to do it every day, but it's going to add to their fortification when you're going through that growth spurt. And they happen, you could tell, they want to sleep more, they're easily, you know, irritated, they're, you know, and it's usually happening at times where they're also feeling their joints are aching. Mom and dad, my joints, my ankles, my knees, you know, I played sports. So you can tell there's a shift. So pay attention to that.
Can you do green smoothies or vegetable smoothies? Is cooked better than raw?
I was getting to that too. I'm a big juice fan, smoothie fan. So you want to add those, but they don't substitute the other stuff because you do want the cooked. Not only because the protein involved and all that, but it's better for the gut too. But the juicing is great. Smoothies are great. Those are not substitutes, those are an addition. Smoothie in the morning, smoothie when you get home from school, replenish your electrolytes, some coconut water in there, right?
Yeah.
Very good. So coconut water is great for replenishing electrolytes. If they're sports people, they overheat, they feel dehydrated, sometimes water won't do it. And Gatorade is probably not your best choice. Coconut water, phenomenal. It has a lot of good stuff in there.
What's in your go-to smoothie?
So, I can tell you what, first, let me tell you what my favorite juice is I created for Modern Juice, which is right on Indiantown by Fresh Market. It's carrots, beets, ginger, kale, lemon, and apple. It's well-rounded. It's, the beets build blood, and it's good, keeps the skin tight, it's good for complexion, it's good for digestion, helps with constipation. So much with the beets. Helps to replenish, it helps you build muscle faster and recover from heavy workouts. Vitamin A and the carrots are great for the liver, the pancreas, healing faster, good for antibacterial, antiviral, so good for immune system. So if you have a cold, vitamin A or carrots juice helps better than vitamin C or orange juice. Vitamin C and orange juice typically is prescribed and said to help with colds, but it's more of a preventative because it makes phlegm. So when you already have the cold, you're gonna just make more mucus, right? So mucus and phlegm / is your first line of defense. That's the stuff that lines your sinus pathways, your throat and all that, and that fluid. So it's good, but when you already have the cold, you don't wanna make more of that because
Orange juice causes phlegm?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes more phlegm. So, again, orange juice, vitamin C is a good preventative. When you already have it, vitamin A is better. And that's what the functional medicine doctors, holistic doctors, they'll prescribe vitamin A, stuff like that. And that's where chicken soup comes in. One of the main ideas is that you get these amino acids and healthy fats combined with your A's and all of that in there. And they mix up into nice, beautiful tonic of a concoction that you eat, and it tastes good. So you got your celery and your parsley and all these antioxidants, antivirals, you got your garlic, your onion. So it's, you know, your typical ingredients, that's why it's working. Antibacterial, antiviral, amino acids for, you know, energy, and your vitamin A's and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
The carrot and beet juice, is that, if you're trying to watch your sugar, is that too much sugar when it's juiced or not?
Yeah, so absolutely, it's obviously, you'd be
Like
better off not eating pasta
Right.
and bread that
So with
day
carrots,
and doing the carrots and beets. So that's the question I always get. I'm like, I'll see diabetics say, oh, I can't have sugars, but they'll happily eat pasta and bread that day. I'm like, you'd be better off drinking some
So
carrots.
it's okay to send the kid for that when they want,
Yeah, just substitute. Yeah, exactly.
okay.
So, and then the kale is great, cleans the blood, you know, anti-inflammatory issues. The ginger is a mediator, moderator. I always have ginger in all my juices and smoothies because they help with digestion. And they also are good for immune system and good for metabolism.
Could you rattle off those ingredients one more time?
Carrots, beets, ginger, kale, lemon, and alkalizer. We talked about that I think last time. Lemon and alkalizer. So carrots, beets, ginger, kale, lemon, and apple. Apple is a natural detoxifier. They would say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but it's got good fiber and it detoxes the system. Yeah, so there's 6 ingredients. So Dr. Ken's Super 6. So that's my go-to juice. As far as smoothies, I like the green-based smoothies, so then the kale and ginger. Throw some pineapple in there. Pineapple is anti-inflammatory. Got bromelain in there, so people take bromelain as a supplement. But it's an anti-inflammatory agent because of its enzymatic processes. So it's an enzyme, so it helps not only get rid of waste that's sitting in there protein-wise, that's what pineapple does, just like the pain, which comes from papaya. So for your teens or yourself, if you have digestive issues, you have, GERD, sometimes GERD or reflux is due to the fact that you're really not eliminating properly, so your waste is sitting in your intestines and you're pouring acid because your body's trying to digest, but it's not working. So you add enzymes and all of a sudden you feel better a few days later. So natural enzymes are from pineapple and papaya. So that's why cultures who had meat-rich, Hawaii and all these places, and you notice they always have the papaya and the pineapple as part of their meal because it helps to get rid of all the protein.
So what did cultures do that weren't in the tropics?
They have other
Other-
yeah, so probiotics. When you look at the use of cabbage and fermentation, right? So the fermented stuff can help with that because it has the bacteria that it forms, and those help get away that way. So usually now you get probiotics with enzymes, and they're working on the same actions, just different cultures, different. So that's where fermentation, kimchi, and sauerkraut.
The enzymes that are in pineapple and papaya, if you have GERD, those fruits may be too acidic. Can you just get the enzymes?
So papaya would be less acidic than pineapple. So papaya would be your go-to for those things. And you get the vitamin A and all that stuff there. Very healing. They say it's the best fruit to have in the morning. Papaya, because it really sets you up. Because you've been fasting all night. So anything sedentary, you'll have a good move and start off fresh.
Do you think that kids should take a probiotic every day?
Yeah, not every day, but a couple times a week helps. Yeah, because probiotics used to be in our foods because we used to get good things from the ground, and they were healthy bacterias sort of around. Now even our organic food is being grown indoors. There's no real healthy bacteria involved. Our soil is obviously polluted, so it's hard to get good probiotics. So you have to kind of.
Do you have a favorite one?
Well, for the kids, the Probiolicious by Rainbow Light tastes good, and it's something they'll do. When they get older in their teens, you can do capsules. Garden of Life has great ones. I prescribe that the most, especially for my women, because they come with they have Garden of Life female. So female needs for probiotics are different than males for obvious reasons. Your large intestine goes into your small intestine into bladder, reproductive organs. So there is a different bacterial need for females than there are for males to keep that all happy. So they do that. They also have a male one, which is really good. And what's nice about them too is they have your multivitamins and minerals also. So you can actually take that as a multi/probio supplement. And you keep those refrigerated. When they're good, they usually have to be refrigerated. I don't know what time it is. Am I going over?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
Huh?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
You were talking about the omegas and the seafood blenders.
Yeah.
So is that considered like an omega? Because my kids, the omegas, they feel like kind of come up and it tastes like fish.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to get them to take an omega.
Right. Yeah. That's why I gave you that option.
So that's a better,
It's
that's an
if they
option.
don't want the fishy taste, sea buckthorn you can get in a liquid form. And it's a tart taste if you were to drink sea buckthorn, you know, because they do offer that. However, some people want the capsule, and Sea Buck Wonders is a brand that makes the sea buckthorn capsules. And there are other brands out there, so you can investigate. You can go online. We have, you know, Whole Foods, Amazon, which are kind of the same. You got Nutrition World in Palm Beach Gardens. You got Peggy's up the road in Stewart. So these are all resources that we have now. But I'm just giving you what I would recommend. But there are others. There are many, you know. But sea buckthorn does not have a fishy taste. It's a sea vegetable. It's a seaweed. It comes from a seaweed source.
But it does the same.
But it does the same. Absolutely.
With your patients,
Yeah.
when they first come to you and they have a long list of symptoms, how do you determine what medicines they need? Do you do blood work, or what's your process?
Okay, great question. So, in the medicine I practice, there's something called pattern differentiation. So we spend many years, 4 in particular, but then after that, I'm still learning. This is, with every new drug, there's a new syndrome, there's all new combinations. The humans become a petri dish of experimentation. You know, for instance, I had a gentleman that came to me, all the money in the world, decided to obey his rheumatologist, who says, well, you've got this psoriatic arthritis, and you have this new drug, it's an injection, you do 1 a year, and it should help. He does this, tanks his immune system, gets chickenpox, shingles, and cellulitis, all at the same time. So he comes to me because the wife and him start searching around, because they say, sorry, we can't help you. We can't figure out what's wrong. You're going to have this for at least a year. Now, let me just give you a picture. I have pictures, but I'm not going to give you the picture because it's really hard to digest. This tall man who's worked his whole life, like I said, Jupiter Island, has in such pain on his right side of his head that he pulls out his hair when he sleeps. So there's a big open wound of blood from him pulling his hair out from the pain of shingles while he sleeps. His legs are weeping because not only has he had cellulitis and infection to such extreme state, and then the chickenpox, but it left his skin with the inability, his skin organ with the inability to process fluids and general anything. So he has severe edema and elephantitis with his legs weeping, blood and fluid. This is the type of stuff I get sometimes. Because when there's no answer, they find Dr. Ken. So the answer to your question is, I sit down with this man and I just break it down, like this is what's going on. So pattern differentiation, skin organ, rooted in the lungs. Inflammation, rooted in the liver, right? Shingles, immune system, inflammation all tied together. Kidneys, immune system, right? Spleen, white blood cells, ability to transform and transport nutrients and get them to the organs, the muscles, so forth and so on. So fatigue, immune system, lymph system, spleen. So my job is to take the branch, draw the lines to the root. So obviously system failure, whatever this drug was that they gave him, he was already compromised, and then it just tanked and affected major organs, which then produce that. So that's what I do. And then I have to treat accordingly. First thing is pain. You can't sleep, you can't deal. So I started interacting with homeopathic, injecting Traumeel combination with Neuralgia, which is a nerve and rheumatic. Homeopathic, I inject sub-Q, acupuncture around the area, moxibustion. These are all foreign terms, I know that. But I'm just telling you that there's a system in the process, and the details are not important. He's already sleeping better at night. I started interacting with his nervous system, healing that. And then I'm doing points on his legs to start getting blood flow and energy there to start healing the tissue. So he's walking now, he's able to, he can see his ankles again, you know, but it's a process. And he knows that, but it's not gonna take him a year of experimentation and no answers. He's already seeing, you know, so we're talking a couple months, 3 months to get him to where he can feel human. You know? So patience is key with this sort of way of thinking and learning and living. But we've been taught too long that the quick answer, right, the microwave generation was the way to go. The quick pill, the microwave, faster is better, right? Jimmy John's. It's like everything's fast. Fast is better. More is better. Not so much, right? He wanted fast. He's lucky he's alive. He literally almost died. And now he's learning a different way. So that's how I do it. I sit, I figure out, and then we do pattern differentiation, and then we treat accordingly. And I use all natural. I use acupuncture, I use the homeopathics is a big deal in my practice, because when I see patients, they already have so many meds that I don't really interact with herbs. I'm not that type of doctor which I prescribe a lot of herbs because it's going to be too much. I do a lot of food therapy. I'll recommend herbal teas, things that you can manage, because if you're drinking something and you're taking that time, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to say, okay, is this sitting well with me? Am I feeling okay? Once you take certain herbs, it's a little bit different. Then the proven, tried and true brands, like I told you, those are things that generally people have good results. I've had no blowback, and I've been doing this over 15 years. So,
So is it mainly somebody with an existing, like, major condition that you take, as opposed to like a wellness program for somebody?
No, I see people, mostly women that want prevention. Men are very much, the way I explain it, because wives will complain about their husbands saying, I really want my husband to do this, it'd be so good. Like, men are like, if it affects what they need to do, then they're gonna go fix it. And women are like, I feel that, you know what I mean? Women are different and more in tune. And there are men like me and, obviously you're here. I care about how you feel, and I want to perform the best, that I can, that sort of thing. But that's not always the case. So I do see a lot of prevention-based, wellness-based patients that are, sometimes they may start off, I have this pain, I have this complaint, but then they like, I want to stay well. I haven't had a cold since I've been seeing you, and I used to have 5 colds a year. I haven't had the flu since I've been seeing you, and I don't have to take the flu shot or whatever. I want to keep this up. And then I see them, once every 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it is. Just as maintenance and wellness, and sometimes more if they have stress. The mother-in-law is going to come by, or the stepkids are going to be visiting, or whatever. All those sort of things that family dynamics can cause stress. Or, I have patients that sometimes they come more because their spouse is suffering and they want to be up to par to take care of them. Yes.
Is there certain foods you would recommend for stress or supplements?
Yeah, definitely. I like, again, with stress, I recommend teas a lot. Nettle leaf tea is a good one for stress and calming the liver and so forth. For sleep is chamomile. That's kind of a household name. I think, the omegas, I go back to that and make sure you're taking your omegas for stress. Evening primrose is a hormone balance that some women do well with. I'm a big fan of lifestyle yoga, because there's something to be said about moving meditations, getting in touch with your body, and setting that time up for yourself to just, I think just, first of all, just being aware that you need time for yourself automatically creates a different paradigm of life and living. And we don't own that. Sometimes our time for ourselves is like go shopping and consume, or do something like nails, or you know what I mean, or have someone do something to us. But the yoga aspect is like self-healing, so I'm a big fan of that. It's not that I don't like, I do Pilates, I do boxing, I do all these other aggressive things too, but the yoga for me is a lot of self-healing and in touch, and helps with stress and checking in, places where I'm hiding or holding stress, or, So yeah, the supplements are key. Also, making sure, sometimes I'll make a soup, like I said, that's good for, because the immune system, inflammatory system, and stress and adrenals is all tied in. So making sure you're getting the nourishment. But yeah, those teas are helpful.
so we're running close to time, and I want you to tell everybody about your summit.
Thank you. So, you know, a lot of what we're doing here, you're already involved with, you're obviously tuned and concerned and interested, but, you know, I started the Star Summit Talk, which is a science, technology, healing arts renaissance, so that's where the star comes in, right? Science, technology, healing arts renaissance summit talk, because I believe that our conversations need to be higher level. We're too much driven by media and what they're saying is important, but what is really important, and the only way we're going to change our future, is by the family and our parents and our kids having higher level conversations. There used to be things like Mensa and, you know, all these things which don't really exist anymore. TED Talks are cool, I'm a big fan of them, but they're very one-sided. It's one speaker, and if you're not interested in that speaker, it's not going to hit home. And the interaction with them is hard because it's hard. So I thought, let me change the platform and create something that would be helpful to all. So the platform of the Star Summit Talk, and I'll get to what this summit is me moderating and panelists. So the panelists will come from different disciplines, and then I'll moderate, and there'll be one question. So the one question from the last one at the Norton Museum that we had, this one's at the Norton as well, and I chose a museum because art museums are places generally for free thinking. If you go to university, you feel like you have to be intellectually savvy. You go to a church, you feel like you have to be spiritually savvy. All of a sudden you're in an art museum and you're just you. And you feel free to ask different questions and be who you are. That's why I chose that. Now, the last one was, where are we now with, what is the universe trying to teach us now? And I had astrophysicists, head of the astrophysics department at Brown University who wrote Jazz and Physics. I had the head of the physics department at St. John's College in Santa Fe, New Mexico come in, and he wrote Music in the Making of Modern Science. I had the head of astronomy out in Indian River State College, John Bell, come, and he brought billion-year-old rocks and talked about the universe and how that's changing. I had a functional food therapist, and I had a functional medicine doctor, all answering, what is the universe trying to teach us now? And it was really cool to see how all of their thoughts and all of their years of learning and teaching and all of that converge on a lot of the same answers. This one, and they don't talk before, so that's really cool. So this one is, where are we now with love, marriage, intimacy, and parenting? I found this one to be very difficult for people to digest because it's scary to ask those questions. We would rather talk about what's happening in Iran or outer space or anywhere else besides what's happening in our marriage, with our parenting, with how we like to be touched or touch others, or any of that. But I thought it needed to happen. And I invited people from different professions, a clinical psychologist who's dealt with marriage counseling for 35 years, a neuroscientist from Venice Beach, California, I'm flying her in, who's been on TED Talks, and she's dealt with intimacy and all of the data that goes along with that and how it affects healing and stress in the body. A Supreme Court certified counselor who's dealt with teens and everything from, texting and social media and bullying and parenting and all that for years. And then a love song, soul singer who travels the world singing, and I met her in Washington, D.C., and she's flying in. She's very famous, and she's wonderful, Chrissy DeShiel, and she's just going to give the artistic approach of where we now live, what she sees in different cultures, and why she writes what she writes, and sings what she sings, and where it comes from, the spirituality of it. And that's on February 8th, 12 to 3. I'll leave flyers up here. Tickets are on Eventbrite. It's only $23.50, but if you want to call me, if you have the time, I'll give it to you for $30 a couple as a special to your high school.
Kids are free.
Yeah, I encourage bringing teens. It's going to be teen friendly. Younger than teens, I don't know. They may not have the attention span, and it might not really benefit them or you to bring them. And that's about it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.